Hey, what's going on guys, it's Chum here, and today I have got a Helix build and playstyle guide for Phoebe to help you become the most badass telekinetic rapier wielding woman in Battleborn. So Phoebe is by far one of my favorite characters in Battleborn. She has an awesome design and some incredible skills that give her ranged engagement options despite being a melee character. Before we start talking about Phoebe's skills however, let's talk about her primary and secondary attacks. Holding down Phoebe's primary attack will unleash a flurry of quick strikes with her rapier, and her secondary attack activates the skill True Strike, which slashes in front of her and propels her in any direction. True Strike can also activate some buffs depending on how you build your Helix, so it is a very useful attack. Either way, let's move on to Phoebe's skills. The first of Phoebe's skills is called Phase Gate. Using Phase Gate allows Phoebe to teleport to a target location and deal some damage in an area of effect around the target. This skill is excellent for closing the gap when trying to engage enemies from a distance. In addition to all of this, Phase Gate can be upgraded to buff Phoebe and debuff enemies after teleporting, making it a very useful skill. Phoebe's second skill is called Blade Rush. When activating Blade Rush, Phoebe takes the rapiers that float around her and fires them in the direction she's aiming. These rapiers deal little damage, but once upgraded through the Helix, they can do a lot to debuff and disable enemies that are hit by the blades. Phoebe's final skill is her ultimate, Blade Cascade. When using Blade Cascade, Phoebe will do a little dance and summon a storm that rains rapiers down on a large target area for 5 seconds. Now that we've covered all of Phoebe's skills, let's move on to the Helix build. Upon spawning into a match, we are given the choice between Aggressive Advance, which lets Phoebe move faster after using Phase Gate, and Preparation, which makes your melee primary combo silence enemies if they had previously been hit with Blade Rush. For those of you who don't know, when someone is silenced, it means that they are unable to use their own skills. For that reason, our first choice will be Preparation, because preventing enemies from using skills makes it very difficult for them to both fight back and run away, making them an easy kill. Upon reaching level 2, you will have the choice between having your shield regenerate after using Phase Gate, or slowing enemies who are in Phase Gate's area of effect. Both of these options are extremely viable, and while the shield regeneration can chain really well with other Helix upgrades, the choice for this build is Phase Distortion and its ability to slow enemies. With Phase Gate now slowing enemy movement speed and attack speed, it can be used in combination with your Blade Rush to render your opponents near defenseless while you cut them down. For our third Helix mutation we have 3 choices: an improved shield capacity and recharge rate, a massive boost to True Strike after a primary combo, or a minor damage boost to all melee attacks. For this Phoebe build, it doesn't really matter what you choose here. For the True Strike buff however, I find that it isn't as useful as the 150% boost makes it appear. Because the mutation requires you to complete a primary combo, there may be many times in combat where you miss one strike of the combo and do not get the buff, making it a little less reliable than the Sharpened Blades buff. If you feel like you have trouble surviving when playing Phoebe, then Shield Stabilizers is probably the best for you. Otherwise, the Sharpened Blades damage boost to all melee attacks can be very useful for quickly defeating enemies. Moving on, our fourth upgrade presents us with 2 options for improving the Blade Rush skill. On the left we have Unintended Innovation, which causes the blades to travel slower but explode on impact, and on the right we have Redopio, which will reduce the Blade Rush's cooldown if you successfully hit enemies. This Phoebe build does not rely on using the Blade Rush skill too much, so Redopio isn't very useful. On the other hand, having the blades explode on impact to damage enemies is very useful, because despite the slower travel speed, it makes it much easier to land a hit. And of course, landing a hit leaves the target able to be silenced by our primary attack combo. This makes Unintended Innovation our clear choice. Now on your next level you will be given a couple of options for upgrading the True Strike. From left to right we have an incoming damage reduction for 3 seconds, a second strike that hits all targets around you, and another second strike that deals 40% more damage. While the upgrades that give a second strike have their uses, the 3-second damage reduction is far more useful and works extremely well with our Phoebe playstyle, that I will talk about later in the video. Moving on, we have another upgrade that is extremely vital to our playstyle. Our options we have are Reduced Phase Gate cooldown, Instant Phase Gate cooldown when your shield is broken, and Shield Penetration on Blade Rush. For this mutation, the clear choice is Contingency Plan's Instant Phase Gate cooldown. Having Phase Gate instantly recharge when your shield is broken means you can Phase Gate into combat to greatly weaken your enemies, and instead of running out of combat or waiting for the recharge, you will always have the phase gate ready for you when you've taken too much damage and need to teleport away. For our 7th upgrade, we have a very simple choice to make. We can either choose to increase the damage of our skills, or increase our primary attack speed, thus increasing our overall damage output. Here you can use either, but I personally choose the attack speed boost because with this build our skills aren't really used for damage, but rather as a utility to help us put in work with our primary attack. Next up we have 2 upgrades for phase gate. One allows you to teleport further distances, while the other increases phase gate's damage as well as the effectiveness of all buffs. Because this build doesn't really rely on phase gate buffing us, but rather debuffing the enemy, I don't really find phase stability to be very useful. Scientific method, however, is quite handy, as it makes it much easier to retreat alive, while also allowing you to engage in combat from a greater distance. This of course makes the increased cast range the better choice for this build. For our second last upgrade, we get another Blade Rush upgrade. The first option, which is my least favourite for this build, deals extra damage based on your current shield strength. Because we didn't build for maximum shield, we won't get the best usage of this upgrade. The other 2, however, are based on how far the blades travel before hitting a target. One deals more damage if the target is very close, while the other deals damage if the target is really far away. Which of these 2 you choose will slightly affect Phoebe's playstyle. If you choose to do more damage up close, then you will want to phase gate next to the enemy first and then use Blade Rush. If you choose to do more damage at a distance, you will want to Blade Rush from a distance before phase gating in. Now for the final Helix upgrade, we have the Ultimate Ability upgrade. Your choice here doesn't have any impact on our playstyle, so you can pick whichever you want. While I haven't unlocked the final mutation, there is a third one available here. The left upgrade causes enemies hit by the Blade Cascade to suffer bonus damage from all sources. The right upgrade increases the area of effect radius and allows Phoebe to move faster within the radius. The middle upgrade, which I'm yet to unlock, causes Blade Cascade's area of effect to follow Phoebe as she moves around the map, at the cost of doing 50% less damage. While this upgrade has a massive damage drop, it gives you the power to prevent enemies from escaping by chasing them. Like I said earlier, this choice is yours, but my personal favourite is the upgrade that allows it to follow Phoebe. Alright guys, now that we've finished talking about what upgrades you should use, let's talk about the playstyle that best fits this build. Throughout this build, we have been choosing all the upgrades that allow us to weaken and disable our enemies. When entering combat, you ideally want to use phase gate to get up close and slow your enemies. This will make it very difficult for the enemy to fight back, because their basic attack will be doing very little damage compared to the damage you are dishing out with your rapier strikes. When in the situation where your enemy is slowed and being attacked, their first instinct is to use their skills to either get the upper hand or run away. Because of this, you want to hit your enemies with Blade Rush before you start attacking. One of our early upgrades causes Blade Rush to mark enemies and have them silenced for 3 seconds when hit by the final strike of your primary combo. With this upgrade, Blade Rushing before you start attacking means if your enemies don't react quickly enough, they won't have the chance to use their skills, rendering them unable to save themselves. The only way for your enemy to survive an attack like this is to have one of their allies save them. If enemies do come to back up your target, this could turn around very quickly, and that is why we have the upgrade to instantly get phase gate back when our shields are broken. Whenever things turn bad and enemies manage to get through your shield, you can easily phase gate away to make your escape. What this means is that you may only have a small window between when you phase gate in and when you need to phase gate out after losing your shield. Because of this small window, we've chosen to give ourselves as many upgrades as possible to increase our damage. Dealing as much damage as possible makes it far more likely that you'll be able to kill one or more targets before you're forced to phase gate to safety. One other method we had to deal with this small window is our True Strike upgrade. The upgrade we chose causes us to take reduced damage for 3 seconds after landing a hit with the attack. If you ensure that you incorporate True Strike into your primary combo while attacking, you'll be able to have the damage resistance almost continuously, making it significantly harder for your enemies to break your shield, and drastically increasing your window for attacks. Now that I have finished talking about my ultimate build for Phoebe, I have another fun build that deserves a mention. You may have noticed that with the right upgrades, we can make it so that losing our shield gives us our phase gate, and have our phase gate cause our shields to recharge. Meaning that if used correctly, you could teleport all over the battlefield each time you lose your shield. The only problem with this build, however, is that you need to let your shield fully recharge or you won't get your phase gate when it's broken. You can slightly remedy this by choosing the upgrade to increase shield strength and recharge rate, as it reduces the charge time from 0 to full by about 2.5 seconds. While this build can be a lot of fun to play, it is hardly reliable, as getting hit before your shield fully recharges makes you very vulnerable. Alright guys, this brings us to the end of our ultimate Phoebe Helix build and playstyle guide. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope you learned something about playing the badass telekinetic rapier wielding Phoebe. If you did, be sure to leave a like, and you can subscribe to see more Battleborn build guides like this one. If you have your own tips for playing Phoebe, feel free to leave them in the comments below because I'd love to read them. You can also leave a comment requesting a hero for me to do a build guide on next. I tend to play a lot of different heroes and would love to master them all. Regardless, if you want to see more Battleborn videos from me, I have two suggestions on screen. On the left we have a build guide for the Eldred healer Miko, and on the right we have my basic tips and tricks guide to help people understand the unique mechanics of Battleborn. And finally, I want to thank you all for watching, and until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.